Last chapter, I covered a lot of specific changes that individual publishers have implemented and explained how I feel those changes will precipitate a higher caliber of comic book entertainment across the board. Among them, advancements in diversity as pertaining to both creators and subjects, mature content becoming more prevalent, a move towards producing quality stories and not just prefabricated hype pieces. This chapter ties into those themes, but rather than focusing on individual publishers, I will concentrate more on general trends that have arisen, which I think will have profound long-term effects on public perception of comic books and the overall merit of comic book art. If these trends play out properly, they will propel the evolution of comic books forward significantly. One beneficial effect of the huge crash the comic book industry suffered in the mid-1990s was that overall comic book quality basically improved by default. Sadly, a lot of honest and hardworking people lost their jobs and their livelihoods during this rough period of time, from creators to staff members to retailers, and this cannot be overlooked or made light of. That having been said, though, the collapse of the speculation-driven market served to drive many bad influences out of the industry. Once the bottom of the industry fell out, many of the businessmen who had involved themselves behind the scenes of comic book publishing merely to make a quick buck wisely decided to cut their losses and leave. This, of course, left room for people who genuinely care about comic books to move into vacant positions. Artists found that they couldn't just rely on their superstar status or flashy derivative styles to keep raking in cash. Similarly, writers noticed that churning out drivel in the hopes of having it wrapped in a shiny, gimmicky cover wasn't going to cut it anymore. Editors couldn't keep approving bad stories or encouraging the overexposure of popular characters. Diamond had to stop conning uninformed collectors into becoming retailers, since failing stores can't make payments to their distributors. Comic store owners who had neither regard for the art of comics nor respect for their customers watched their client base dwindle to virtually nothing. No amount of price gouging or artificial inflating back issue values would keep such shady dealers in business once they'd run out of customers to take advantage of. Essentially, after the myth of making a fast fortune in the comic book business had given way to reality, the only people left in the wake were those who had a real passion for comics. From the executives to the artists, there was a prevailing desire to make comic books that people actually wanted to read. With any creative endeavor, if the work is done by someone who loves what they're doing, the output is going to benefit. I feel that this led directly to much of the rapid progress I discussed last chapter, and also had a hand in inspiring the trends I'm going to address in this chapter.